Hey, everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. My name is Todd Ronan from the Reality Forecast Show on YouTube, and I'm joined with Liz Cross. Hey, Liz, how are you?
I am drinking my tea and waking up slowly. How are you?
Great. So thanks for listening, everybody. We wanted to capture some sentiments of the North Sentinelese. They're a tribal group, which is kind of an untouched tribal region, sort of, where is it? North of Sri Lanka, north of Malaysia, sort of an archipelago, but they're protected under the Protection Act of Original Aboriginal Tribes in 1956. It prohibits travel from 5 miles in, which is a good thing because anybody that ventures into the island ends up dead.
Oh, it's not very big, is it?
So I don't know how you want to approach this, Liz. You want to try and contact the, I don't know if we can, I don't even know this is a real photo, so we don't even want to use that, but can you group the North Sentinelese tribe as a singular entity, and we can sort of probe them to ask them questions about their cultural heritage?
Yes, I can group them. Now, the first thing that comes through is the fact that their population is dwindling down big time.
And so what is their fear is that people are coming to what?
No, their own personal population is dwindling down. The ratio of males to females being born and being able to obviously procreate, the female ratio is very low at the moment.
Yeah, I think this is like under 250 people that live on the tribe and that live on the island. So it's definitely getting a lot smaller. What are their cultural beliefs?
Cultural beliefs. Well, it's all about, that's a good question. Oh, here we go. It's all about like respect for animals, respect for nature. They look at animals as gods in some way. That's what I'm pulling from them. They have a lot of respect for different types of animals, and they're very conscientious of, if they harm an animal, it's not, they don't take that lightly, right? That you have to use all of its body parts, and you have to, you don't discard hardly anything, because if you throw part of that body away, that is considered like disrespectful to the universe. They don't believe in one source.
What brings them to they murdered a guy that came to try and give him the word of God, this fella here. So what was their decision behind taking this guy's life?
What was the decision? Like, did you make a decision? Like, no, that was instinctual. Like, they didn't think about it. They didn't have like a meeting about it or discuss it. I mean, that's just what they do. Anyone outside of their tribe is seen as an enemy and they have to be killed. What did you think when you saw this person, John Allen? Is it Chow?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. What did you think about it, that he was an enemy? And why did he scare you? Because we've never seen anything like him. So anything outside of their own existence is considered an enemy. Do you know about humans outside of the island? And they say, well, we have this belief system. So this is so interesting. Okay. You know how we sit here on the earth plane in our little worlds, in our countries, and we think, oh, there has to be more out there in the universe, right? There has to be aliens. There has to be other things out there. Well, they do the same thing. So anything outside of their tribe is considered like an alien to them. They don't know where they come from. They don't know anything about humans outside of this island. They just know that they have to protect themselves, and they see anybody else as a threat. They don't trust them. They do have a language that they speak. I'm saying, what is your language? And as I'm probing it, it's not as obviously evolved as modern day, like English and the big languages in the world. It's actually very primitive. It's all about sounds and sort of noises, and I feel like there's a clicking in there as well. There is another language out there in the world, maybe more than one, that uses like clicking. That they use clicking as well.
How long do they live generally? And do they have like a tribal elder?
They have several elders. Do you have more than just the one? So let's ask this. Do you have like different sects of tribe? Yeah, so they do have like 3 different groups. So they're like 3 different families. And do you all get along? Not always. Not always. They've had to have tribal warfare before. For the most part, is it a peaceful existence between the 3 tribes? Yes, it is. And you have several elders. They do have several elders. So, and is it running through the blood? It runs through the bloodline. So if your grandfather was the elder, then the son, and then the son, and it runs through the bloodline.
What makes them incarnate on this? Is it tribal? Have they been here for multiple incarnations? And let's take it with that. Is this a singular place you can go to relax, to get away from people, or have they been incarnating here consistently for a long time over generations?
Most of them, yes. Most of them. And I'm saying, any of the members right now, have any of them been in the West or in a modern country and then reincarnated backwards? No, because we don't this is one thing I find for the most part, we don't reincarnate in reverse. I know there's some theories out there that says, well, you become human and then you can reincarnate as an animal and things like that. I don't find that. So this would go along with a very sort of primitive human existence, and we don't go backwards. So we all went through this type of existence at some point in our timeline, on a soul reincarnation level, right? We oftentimes I've uncovered tribal lifetimes, and I have to say, when I've uncovered these tribal lifetimes, they're not easy. They're brutal. And it's a very, very difficult existence, trying to survive, hunt. Females obviously do not have a lot of rights in these tribal existences, and the tribal warfare is very brutal as well. It's not an easy existence at all.
Well, let's see what they're going to be like in 50 years. If we can, let's say 25 years. So they get eventually contacted by some do-gooder in 25 years and say 2050 that wants to help them, and have they lost their cultural identity as a result?
Let's go January 1st, 2025. I'm sorry, 2050, 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Are you still around? Ooh, this is good. So, and I'm not saying the information is good. I'm saying that this is a really good suggestion to probe them out in 2050. what I'm getting back is there's only like a handful of them left. The population has dwindled down to nothing. Now, what is coming through very strongly is cancer. Okay. There's something there on the island that is causing like high levels of cancer. And I feel like it's toxicity, like liver cancer, colon cancer. There's something in the food and it's giving them cancer. So they're having a very large death rate. I feel that the women are going to be wiped out first. And therefore, without any women, you've got no way to, reproduce. So it looks like there's only just a handful of people left. And as I'm looking at that handful, I don't see any women in there.
Well, without ability to procreate, it doesn't sound like they have much time left on their clock.
No, it's a shame because we can learn so much from them. I do feel like they study the North Sentinelese, is it Sentinelese, people, this tribe. I do feel like they have drones and satellites. They do track them through these images. I feel like they follow them. They have a head count. They are being studied. Their way of life is being studied. And I'm asking them, do you actually see like these drones or these things in the sky? And they do see these things in the sky. And what do you think that they are? And they're like, they're scared of them. They don't know what they are. Do you ever see airplanes in the sky, like airplanes flying over? No, they don't really see airplanes. They're not exposed to airplanes, but they are exposed to somebody or some governments or maybe an independent organization or maybe somebody who's just very wealthy who wants to study them. And no, I feel like this is a professor that studies like native tribes. There are projects out there where they're tracking them and trying to figure out their numbers and what they're doing. Now, they do have a lot of child death going on. So a lot of problems in childbirth. Obviously no modern advances like we have, with breathing machines and doctors and everything like that. I mean, I'm not trying to be offensive to them. They do the best that they can, but there is a lot of death in childbirth, and there's a lot of early death. So the average age is what? Probably about 35.
Do they have a written pictographic language?
Do you have a written pictographic language? Do you have any sort of alphabet? No, they have no alphabet, no written language. Everything is oral. And they have like the keeper of the oral history. And so they just talk constantly about their history and they pass it on and pass it on as much as they can. That tells us a lot about our own history because oral history can get distorted. It can be changed, not maliciously, but just down through the generations. Even in our own families, we find that maybe we thought great great granddad or great great grandma was this, that, and the other. And that history changes throughout time. So their oral history, they try to keep it as sacred as possible, but inevitably it actually changes.
Inevitably, all history changes, and especially that which is remembered only by one guy.
Right.
That's why it's good
Right.
to keep records in multiple places from multiple
Yeah.
people.
Well, for us, yes, but obviously they can't. They can't do, or they don't do that. Do you have any sort of written communication whatsoever? No, no. Let's ask this question. Are you guys telepathic? Yeah. Okay, so what I'm picking up on is there is a level of telepathy. Now, I'm wondering if without all of these extracurriculars going on in our brain, like reading and writing and, creating works of art and having all these complicated issues, not saying their issues are not complicated, but they're complicated in a different way. If we rely more on telepathy back then, our brains, we didn't have to have like all of these complex inner workings. We just used telepathy. And I feel like that is correct.
What portion of their brain is used in the telepathy that they have?
So I feel like they use a very small portion of the brain capacity, well, which is we all do as humans, right? I think the maximum we use now is what, 18%. I feel like their portion is down to about 6 or 7% usage. And of that 6 or 7% usage, 2/3 of that is telepathy. And I'm saying, can you actually see energy? And they're saying, yes, they believe that they can see energy, almost like, when you're looking at something and there's like a heat sensor, and, the only way I can equate it to is like, because I used to be a dispatcher. So when the helicopters were out at nighttime and you're looking for a suspect that's gone to ground, you can pick them up by their heat sensor, even if they're hiding underneath the trees or the bushes, right? And so, I'm saying, do you believe that you have like a built-in heat sensor? And they do have like a built-in knowing. And I'm saying, but can you see through like bushes and trees and things like that, where that, you see through like walls even? And they're telling me yes. They get telepathic warning when someone is approaching the island, which
Their
is why,
spidey senses are tingling.
yes, and that is why they knew that guy was coming to the island. They had been waiting for him for a long time. And I'm saying to the universe now, where is this information coming from? This telepathic information? Well, they communicate a lot telepathically, because I do feel that they live on various areas of the island, and at night they're telepathically communicating. And I say, but to the universe, but outside of their own individual telepathy, where is the information coming from? And the information is coming from source. And I'm saying, will this tribe eventually die out? And I don't feel like it will. I want to say, will it die out completely? No, because there's other portions of this tribal DNA that has spread throughout the world. And so there have been tribal members that have actually left this island by boat and have gone to other worlds. And I feel like they've gone to India.
At least their DNA memory lives on.
Yeah, there's a lot of important history held in DNA.
All right. Well, thanks very much, everybody. And thanks to the North Sentinelese tribe. Just to run to everybody, don't go there. You'll
Yeah.
die.
No, don't go there anytime soon. No. What a fascinating probe, though. Well, I'm sure there's so many more questions we can ask them. I would love to tap into them again. So If you have any other like really interesting questions, go to my website, psychiclizcross.com. Click on the submit a probe button. Just remember, guys, when you are submitting a probe, I look for somebody who is submitting at least like 15 questions. Okay, so really good 15 questions, things that aren't going to get us banned on YouTube, right? So great. Just submit I would love to do this again.
We will do this again at some point in the future. Thanks very much, everybody. We will see
Thank
you
you.
next time.